Jackson filling in for the great Eldersky. The number to call in, 888-971-7243. We're coming to you live from the ReliefFactor.com studio. We have a jam-packed show for you today, so I hope you have your sneakers on because you are in for some conservative cardio. In the first hour, obviously, we're going to talk about or at least get started on the issue that we see, or the tragedy, I would say, that we have seen and we have witnessed take place in Afghanistan under the feckless leadership of the Biden-Harris administration. We'll talk about the issues concerning the border. There's a Texas border town that's seeing record-breaking numbers of stash houses of illegal aliens. So we'll talk about that in the first hour. In the second hour, we're going to have the great Eldersky himself, hopefully the future sage of Sacramento, Larry Elder, on the program with us. We'll also be talking more about Afghanistan. In the first hour, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the border. I want to try to tie in the two. And in the third hour, you're not going to want to miss that as well. We're going to have James Carafano of the Heritage Foundation joining us to dive in deep when it comes to Afghanistan. And if time permits, we're going to talk about the media's COVID narrative and how it's starting to crumble on the latest bit of data that is out there. But first, I want you to understand this, and I got to give Sean McConnell, I got to give him props because he just did a tremendous amount of work for me the last minute coming on to the show. But I want you guys to hear some audio clips. I want you guys to understand what we're dealing with this feckless White House. I want you to understand that we're dealing with wokesters in the White House, where the rest of the world is trying to build warriors. Our American soldiers, of no fault of their own, Our leadership is, we just have bad leadership. It's as simple as that. And our leadership is trying to build wokesters while the rest of the world is trying to build warriors, because places like China, places like Russia, perhaps now even Afghanistan, obviously they don't have the resources to do so. But these other places want to be number one, China specifically. So while they're looking to build their militaries and to strengthen their militaries, we're looking to brainwash ours. And it's a sad commentary, but I want you to understand what we're dealing with. If we can't count on the Biden-Harris administration to conduct even a safe and orderly troop withdrawal, or leave just a small residual amount of troops behind to keep the country stabilized, what else can we not count on from the Biden administration? What else can we not count on from the Biden administration? You know what? I would tell every single one of you. Look at our open borders. Do you really believe that the Biden administration will be able to fix the borders, perhaps even wants to fix the borders? I don't even believe they want to fix the borders, frankly. But it's not an issue that they can get under control. Thank God a judge has stepped in. I'll talk to you about that. Do you really trust the Biden administration with our economy? Again, they were so feckless. They didn't even have in mind to keep the residual 2,500 troops. Look, just think about that. Maybe it's 3,500. I believe it's 2,500 troops. Just think about that. 2,500 U.S. soldiers. I believe mostly special operations type soldiers. Keeping the Taliban at bay, keeping the country stabilized. We all agree. I don't think there's any doubt about it that the vast majority of us wanted to get out of there. And it's been a long war. No one wants our soldiers to go to war in perpetuity. But I don't believe in handing our soldiers a loss. I don't believe in doing that. I believe that if we send our soldiers to war, we need to send them to war to win. We need to define who our enemy is, define what the mission is, execute our mission, and get the heck up out of there. But having said that, I just want you to put this into context. The Biden administration weren't even capable of making a simple decision to come up with a strategic plan to exit Afghanistan. They couldn't even do that. Well, we're going to trust them with the economy. We're going to believe them on global warming and all this kind of nonsense. We've got open borders, absolutely run amok. We've got crime at record levels. Do you trust the Biden administration to handle that? What else is the Biden administration feckless on? What else are they incapable? What other problems are they incapable of handling? What other problems are they incapable of solving? I think this administration is a disaster. There's no other way to put it. Inflation is rising. I mean, you have to ask the question. Trump asked the question several months ago, do you miss me yet? Some of you may not even like him, but I got to tell you, I don't think we'd be dealing with this today. We had a president that could adapt. This president can't adapt. This president can't adapt whatsoever. As a matter of fact, a WAPO piece, White House correspondent says Biden wanted Afghan exit so badly he didn't listen to the generals. Remember how the media will go mad, just crazy mad. Trump never listens to his generals. Well, the Washington Post White House correspondent Ann Gearan said Sunday that Biden was so caught up in wanting to get out of Afghanistan that he ignored the advice from his top generals. Not to mention, he was completely AWOL for days on end. Jen Psaki on vacation. Biden on vacation at Camp David finally decides to speak up, and in his opening couple of lines or so, he blames the Trump administration. He blames the soldiers on the ground. He doesn't take accountability. He eventually does say in his speech, the buck stops here, but that's after he blamed Trump, and that's after he blamed the forces that the United States trained on the ground. I know everybody's talking about, man, we've been there so long. How come these soldiers didn't fight the way that they should? And this and you know what? It's a different world out there. I think one thing that we never take into consideration when it comes to people in different worlds and why nation building doesn't work, particularly in the Middle East, is because we're not necessarily dealing with civilized people, and we're dealing with people that worship a different God. Nobody wants to say it, so I'll say it. We're dealing with people that worship a different God. They don't view the world as we do. But having said that, the Biden administration knew what was going on. They knew that these troops weren't ready. They didn't devise a strategy plan. This lady, Gearan, she joined a panel discussion on NBC's Meet the Press to discuss the Taliban's rapid takeover of much of Afghanistan in the wake of Biden administration's accelerated exit from the country. And then Chuck Todd asked her, Ann, what's the divide? Clearly a divide between the Pentagon and the president. He asked, do you expect this to have long-term fallout between the White House and the Pentagon? And I think the Pentagon is whispering, this is Chuck Todd saying this, we didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it, Gearan replied, saying that Biden's relationship with the top generals had not been the best from the very beginning. You see, you may not know this, but when people have dementia, the beginning stages of dementia, they're very, they can be very mean. We've seen that with Joe Biden. From all indications, Joe Biden has never been the lunchbox Joe. He's never been a nice guy. But now, with the cognitive disability that he has, there's no doubt that he's probably meaner than ever. And so we're dealing with a man that isn't capable of thinking straight, making decisions for this nation that can totally destroy this nation. I'm going to talk about the borders when we get back. I'm going to connect the dots. We'll be back in a few. Sorry, Sean, that